My name is Emily Johnson, and I'm 67 years old. My husband, who was a lawyer, passed away a few years ago in an accident, and now I live alone. I have one son, but he got married and moved out. My son's name is Tom Johnson, and he's 35 years old. He works for a civil engineering company, and due to his job, he currently lives in a rented apartment near his work site with his wife. My daughter-in-law, Catherine, is 33 years old. She and my son met at work as they were in the same department. And after dating for a while, they got married 3 years ago. Since my son's job involves a lot of long-term business trips, they've decided to wait before having children, so they don't have any yet. As for me, I'd love to see my grandchildren soon. But I understand my son has his own plans, so I'm patiently waiting. I'm currently unemployed, but with my husband's life insurance, accident insurance, and inheritance, I'm able to live comfortably without any major financial concerns. I consider myself to be healthy, but recently, I've noticed that my legs and back aren't as strong as they used to be. And I often feel uneasy living alone. One day, I got a call from my son saying he was coming to visit. I was excited since it had been a while since he said something like that. When my son arrived, he came with his wife. "Mom, it's been a while. How have you been?" "Hello, Emily. It's been a long time. How are you doing?" They said they had news to share, and I started thinking, maybe they're going to have a baby? Well, the current project I'm working on is almost finished. And after that, I'll be transferred to the head office. Oh, really? So you're coming back here? Yeah, I'll be working in the office from now on, so I won't be working on site anymore. That's great. If you're working at the head office, it's in the city, right? Since you won't be on site anymore, why not buy a house around here? Actually, Catherine suggested something. We were thinking, why don't we all live together here in this house? Yes, since you're living alone now, and considering your age, it would be reassuring if we lived together. That way, if you ever need care, we'd be here to help. Is that so? I'm still quite healthy, you know. Yes, but you never know what might happen. And living alone as you get older can be a bit worrisome. Well, it's true that living alone can be a bit nerve-wracking at times. But isn't this house a bit old for all of us to live together? This house was built by my late husband. It's a 30-year-old two-story house with 5 rooms and a large garden. On the first floor, there's a kitchen, bathroom, and toilet, along with 3 Japanese-style rooms and a living room. The second floor has a Western-style room that my husband used as a study, and another room that we used as a bedroom. If my son and his wife were to move in, they'd probably use the first floor while I stayed on the second floor. That's why we have a suggestion. Catherine leaned in excitedly. How about we renovate the house? Renovate the house? Yes, this home was built during the bubble, so it's strong and made with good materials. It would be a shame to tear it down. So we thought it would be great if we could renovate it and all live together. That's what we wanted to discuss. Catherine started to speak hesitantly. So, could we ask you to cover the renovation costs? I'm going to cover the renovation costs? Yes, before coming here, we got a rough estimate. We plan to turn the first floor into a barrier-free space. We'll modernize the kitchen and integrate it with the living room, making it an open-plan kitchen. We'll also renovate the bathroom and toilet with the latest amenities. On the second floor, we'll build a large balcony and turn it into a sunroom. We'll live on the second floor and create a room for you on the first floor since stairs can be tough. and it would be more convenient for you to have a bathroom close by. The total budget is around $120,000. Catherine said all this in one breath, clearly very enthusiastic about the plan. If you agree to this plan, we can live together, and I'll take care of you in the future. My son said, well, we've saved up a decent amount. But if we have kids in the future, there will be a lot of expenses. So we want to keep costs down as much as possible. What do you think? It's not a bad idea, right? Hold on a second. You've sprung this on me out of nowhere. I can't just say, sure, I'm on board, right away. Well, today we just wanted to bring it up, so please think about it. If you can come up with the money, we'll handle all the details. Emily, this is something that will make everyone happy. Please consider it seriously. We're asking you. Honestly, I thought my son and daughter-in-law's proposal made sense. However, when Catherine said, if you pay for it, we'll live together and take care of you, it left me feeling uneasy. Does this mean they'll take care of me only if I pay for it? Of course, I'd be happy to address the issues I have with the house. But something about this still doesn't sit right with me. At that moment, though, I didn't think too deeply about it. Later on, after my son and daughter-in-law finished their work out of town, they moved into a rental apartment near our family home. Once they were close by, Catherine started visiting more frequently and kept bringing up the renovation plan, urging me to agree. I started thinking that maybe it wasn't such a bad idea after all. But Catherine's insistence felt a bit too desperate. Frustrated with my indecision, Catherine would say things like, why won't you agree, Emily? Isn't this a good deal for you too? Or nowadays, it's rare to find a daughter-in-law who's willing to live with her in-laws. But I'm offering to live with you and take care of you. You won't find another daughter-in-law like me. It was almost threatening. And I started to feel a bit afraid. When I asked, why are you so desperate about this? She glared at me and said, desperate? Who do you think this is for? It's all for you. We're offering to take care of you in your old age for $120,000. That's a bargain. Tom, instead of calming his wife down, actually sided with her and said to me, Mom, think of it as helping us out too. Just listen to what Catherine's saying. I was utterly dismayed. Fortunately, thanks to my late husband, I have enough financial stability. And I always intended to leave the money to my son eventually, so we can manage this. If Catherine is going to take care of me in my old age, then maybe I won't need to worry about the cost of a nursing home. Perhaps Catherine is right, and this really is a win-win situation for everyone. So, I told Tom that I would agree to their plan. All right then, I'll start making the arrangements, so please get the money ready. When they said that, I cashed in some of the securities from my inheritance and transferred the money to my son's account. We then officially hired the construction company and requested the design plans. Later, the construction company informed us that the design was ready. So I went with my son and his wife to take a look. On this day, Catherine was all smiles. And it was hard to believe she was the same person who had shouted at me before. Since I'd never seen blueprints before, I didn't really understand them. But they showed us the floor plan. The biggest changes were in the areas with plumbing, the bathroom, toilet, and kitchen were being significantly remodeled. The spaces that were once divided by sliding doors would now have walls and regular doors. As I looked over the plans, I noticed a small room connected to the living room. What's this? It seems too small to be a room. Is it a storage space or a closet? Catherine, what's this room for? Oh, it's a kind of spare room, or storage, or maybe for the future. For the future? Do you mean a child's room? Well, something like that, Catherine replied, avoiding a direct answer. She seemed to be hiding something. Tom didn't say much, as usual. He'd always been a quiet child. But it was the first time I'd seen him act so submissively toward his wife. Looking back, I should have noticed something was off. But I figured it was up to my son and his wife, so I didn't pay much attention to it. Then the renovations began. I moved into an apartment that the construction company recommended. The apartment building housed 8 families. And my unit was on the second-floor corner. Even though I'd only be there for a short time, I made an effort to greet my neighbors. To my surprise, many of them were quite young. And they all greeted me politely, which was unexpected. My neighbor was a single mother named Kate Swift. Her daughter, Jenny, was a sweet 5-year-old girl. Kate told me she had lost her husband in an accident and had no relatives to rely on. So she was raising Jenny on her own. Despite her situation, Kate was cheerful, and Jenny quickly grew attached to me. Sometimes I'd share food with them, give Jenny snacks, or watch her when Kate had to work late. Jenny also warmed up to my son and daughter-in-law when they occasionally visited. My son even said, "Kids are so adorable. Maybe it's time we start thinking about it too." One day, Kate, who had the day off, invited me over for tea. She usually worked in hotel housekeeping. After a bit of hesitation, she said, "Please don't take this the wrong way." "What is it?" "Well, the other day while I was cleaning a hotel room, I saw your daughter-in-law. She was with a man I didn't recognize." I nearly spat out my tea in shock. "What? Are you sure?" "Yes, I've seen her face many times, so I'm certain." She was dressed quite stylishly, and the man was in a suit. "Please, if you can, could you find out more?" "Oh no, I'm just part-time, I can't go that far. Plus, it would be against the compliance rules." Against the compliance rules? It means following the rules or regulations. Basically, it's about ensuring that the company adheres to laws and internal policies. In this case, it means the hotel has a rule about not disclosing guests' privacy. Wow, things are strict these days. But more importantly, you need to address the issue with your daughter-in-law. That's right. I wasn't sure what to do, but I said, we need to gather evidence first. I have someone in mind who might be able to help. I'm sorry if I've caused any trouble. No, not at all. Thank you for telling me. I contacted a private investigator that my late husband had trusted and asked them to look into Catherine's behavior. I was also concerned about Tom's odd behavior, so I asked them to investigate that as well. Since Catherine was a housewife, she had a lot of free time while Tom was at work. I wanted to know what she was doing during those hours. I decided to wait for the investigation results. Meanwhile, the renovation of the house was progressing smoothly. Catherine often used excuses like checking on the renovation progress or buying snacks for the workers to go out more frequently. But when I asked the workers, they said Catherine hardly ever visited. She was probably using the renovation as an excuse to cover up her outings for the affair. Meanwhile, the private investigator's investigation was progressing steadily. It turns out Catherine's affair partner was a high school classmate, her ex-boyfriend, whom she reconnected with at last year's reunion. They had gathered plenty of evidence, including photos and audio recordings. So the case was well documented. When my son and his wife came over one day, I thought I'd ask a few questions. By the way, Tom, it's been 20 years since you graduated middle school this year. Isn't there a reunion coming up? Is that right? Wasn't it the high school reunion? Suddenly, there was a loud crack. And Catherine was holding her shin, looking like she was in pain. What's wrong, Catherine? Are you okay? Oh, I just got distracted and bumped into the table leg. Oh dear, be careful. So, about the reunion, was it the high school one after all? Yeah, it was. I'm the organizer, so I'm sure of it. Oh, I see. If it had been the middle school reunion, you might have run into your old girlfriend, huh? There was another loud thud. Oh dear, again, Catherine? What happened this time? Ouch. I'm sorry, I hit my head this time. Maybe I'm just naturally clumsy. Mom, you're saying weird things. My ex-girlfriend is a mother of 2 kids now. Why are you still bringing that up? Oh, is that so? Sorry about that. Catherine seemed to react strongly every time the word reunion was mentioned. Observing her behavior, it was clear she was hiding something. Eventually, the renovation work was completed. The exterior of the house had been redone, with the walls replaced and the roof changed from tiles to shingles. At a glance, it looked like a brand new house. The front door was changed from a heavy sliding door to a light one. Inside the house, there was no trace of its former appearance. The bathroom was larger and more modern, and the biggest change was the kitchen. It now had an IH stove and a dishwasher. Catherine was thrilled with the results. I assumed that the remaining room on the first floor would be my room. The scent of the new room was comforting. Next, we started moving in the items we had stored in a warehouse. I also began packing up my apartment in preparation for the move. I said goodbye to my neighbors, Kate and Jenny. Jenny cried, but when I told her she could visit me with her mom, she managed a small smile. Then, on Sunday, before the movers arrived, we cleaned each room and discussed where to place the furniture and appliances. Tom and Catherine were only concerned with their own things, completely ignoring mine. Feeling utterly overlooked, I finally raised my voice. Hey! Where am I supposed to put my things? Finally noticing me, they both came over. Oh, Emily, this isn't your room, Catherine said. What? But I thought I was going to live on the first floor. Am I getting a room upstairs? I prefer this little room. What are you talking about? You're not getting any room. The room we prepared for you is over there. Catherine pointed toward the mysterious small room. What? Isn't that a storage space? Humph, you should be grateful we even prepared a room for you. That's your room, Emily. It's a perfect size, you can lie down in there. What are you saying? I can't live in a storage room like that. I was so upset that I yelled at Catherine. Tom, are you really going to shut me away in that small room? Yeah, I guess that's how it'll be, Tom replied, looking apologetic. So, this was your plan all along. Is it a problem? If you don't like it, you can leave. If living together doesn't suit you, then that's fine, right? Catherine laughed loudly. Tom remained silent, looking down. Just then, a voice came from the entrance. Right on time. Excuse me. I'm Attorney Smith. Is Emily home? I glanced at the clock. It was exactly the time we had agreed on. It's been a while. I was greatly indebted to your late husband. I'm still in the middle of moving, so things are a bit chaotic. But I appreciate your guidance. Well then, since everyone is here, shall we begin? Yes, please come to this room. As I led Mr. Smith and his assistant into the Japanese-style room, Catherine and Tom looked around, clearly confused by the situation. Mr. Smith began his explanation. First, regarding your son's debt, the loan, I'm pleased to inform you that the third-party payment has been successfully completed. Here are the documents. In other words, I, as a third party, had paid off my son's debt on his behalf. What is this? Mom, how did you know about this? Well, I looked into a few things and discovered that Catherine's parents had paid off the debt from your failed investment. So, I went ahead and settled it myself. Catherine's parents were quite relieved. Mom, you knew about this. Yes, and now you don't have to hold back with Catherine anymore. Speak your mind. Mom, I'm sorry. Thank you. We can talk about that later. That was just a side issue. Now, let's get to the main issue. The main issue? Tom looked puzzled. By now, Catherine was already sweating profusely. Emily, I am the victim here. My husband lost money in an investment and used up our family's savings. So my parents had to cover the debt. She began defending herself before anything had been said. And that's how you've been controlling Tom, right? Sure, my son is at fault, but what you've been doing is much worse, isn't it? What do you mean? I haven't done anything wrong. She said this while her face turned pale. Mr. Smith continued speaking. Let's get to the main point. Catherine, you've been engaging in an affair with your ex-boyfriend from high school. In plain terms, you've been cheating. What? Tom looked shocked and stared at Catherine. No, it wasn't serious, just a fling. The only person I love is my husband, truly. Well, we're just presenting the objective facts. Even if you say you love your husband, that doesn't change the reality of the situation. We're simply reporting the findings of our investigation. With that, Mr. Smith presented several photographs and played audio from a recorder. My husband is just an ATM. I'm only using him until I can be with you. I wondered where they recorded this. Their investigating skills are impressive. And that was just the beginning of the recordings. I tricked that fool and his parents into renovating their house. First, I'll kick out the mother, then have a friend seduce the husband, claim he cheated, and divorce him. That way, I'll get alimony and take the house as compensation for my parents' debt. Then, I'll marry you. I'm so clever, aren't I? You're still as wicked as ever. I heard you'd changed a lot. I'm just that crazy about you. I want us to be together soon. There was more, but this was more than enough. The photo evidence clearly showed the two of them entering a hotel, hugging in the shadow of a car, and engaging in inappropriate behavior inside and outside the hotel. Catherine was now slumped over, looking utterly defeated. With so much evidence against her, there was no room for denial. I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused. I apologized to him, admiring the work of the private investigator and Mr. Smith. It was no trouble at all. Moving forward, if your son wishes, we can handle the divorce paperwork, alimony, and division of assets. Thank you for your hard work. Having lost all standing, Catherine fled the house, leaving my son behind. He was visibly shaken, but it was clear that their marriage couldn't continue. He immediately requested that the divorce proceedings begin. Later, I received a call from the attorney's office, informing me that a meeting was arranged with Catherine, her parents, her affair partner, and his wife. Turns out Catherine and that man used to date. And when they saw each other at the high school reunion, they remembered the good old days. What started as a one-night mistake spiraled out of control when he was transferred back to the area, and they couldn't pull themselves out of it. The man was also married with children, but this affair led to his divorce. My son's divorce was finalized as well, and he received a substantial amount of alimony. Catherine's parents covered the alimony up front, and Catherine and the man were to repay them as a debt. Catherine was disowned by her parents, as was her affair partner. The two of them moved to a small inn in the countryside, where they live and work to pay off their debt, barely making ends meet. A while later, Kate Swift, who had lived next door to me in the apartment, came to visit with Jenny. Jenny's kindergarten was nearby, and they stopped by on their way home. Since Jenny had grown attached to Tom, I told them they were always welcome to visit. As they continued to visit, Kate and my son grew closer. And eventually, they decided to get married. Life can be full of surprises. Now, my son has a new wife and an instant elementary school-aged daughter. Jenny calls my son Dad and calls me Grandma. And I cherish her as if she were my own granddaughter. My son and his new wife are living happily together. And I am now enjoying a very happy time. And so, everything ended well, and that's all that matters.